said, what? He said, Daddy. I said, what? He said, you forgot my name. I said, no, I didn't forget your name. He said, no, my name isn't Sweetie. It's Samuel James Upton. He says that. I said, Samuel, how could I forget your name? I named you. And he said, oh. He didn't say anything really back. He just went to sleep. And I laid there looking up at the ceiling, and I couldn't get out of the sleeping bag very easily because I'm stuck in there, you know. So I knew I couldn't get out till he was fast asleep. So I had to just lay there while he was going to sleep. And I heard the voice of the Father say to me, and how could I forget your name? Because I named you. And I went down into my worship room and I opened that little passage, which reminds me of another sweet little story before I sing this. Samuel's grandfather, Peter, he's a wonderful man of God. He's really into prayer. And many, many times when I'm gone, like tonight, I'm sure he's putting Samuel down to bed. And it's kind of a cool thing that we have in our family. And they have all kinds of funny stories. Like this is a great story. Yeah, like this one time, Samuel, you know, he's learning the maps in school, you know, so he's putting all the maps together. And so you know, he finally found where Nevada is, you know, on the map. So he's finding out all sorts of cool things, like what the flag is and how many people live there and so on and so forth. And he goes over to Rachel, my wife's sister, Rebecca's house one day, and he said, Auntie Rebecca, Auntie Rebe, he calls her, who lives in Nevada? And Rebe was thinking about Las Vegas. So she said, well, Samuel, that's where all the bad people live. And so Samuel's like, really? Because Samuel, he's really into this, you know, where the bad people live. Woo-hoo. He's really, you know, we wrote that song, I'm Not Afraid, basically with Samuel in mind, because he's just, you know, I'm not afraid of nothing. Where are the bad people? That's where he's at right now, you know? It's like, really? The bad people? It's like, yeah, bad people, Samuel. So he comes home and he starts saying, Daddy, I just found out that the bad people live in Nevada. Well, the next day he goes to do a carpool with Mommy and Emma, and they're carpooling with Bobby, his buddy Bobby, his best friend Bobby. And they pick up Bobby at his house. And, you know, Samuel always say, you know, he's not afraid of bad people, but like with a lump in his throat, you know what I mean? So he's like, oh, you know, the bad people. So he gets to the house, and Bobby's mom brings Bobby up to the car. He puts Bobby in his seat, locks him in. Samuel says, hey, Bobby, is that your mommy? And Bobby says, yes, Samuel, that's my mommy. And they start talking, and Rachel's listening to this whole conversation. And all of a sudden, Samuel says, well, where's your daddy? And Bobby says, well, he's on a business trip in Nevada. Rachel hears that. She's looking up in the rearview mirror. Samuel's eyes were just like this. He didn't say nothing, you know? Well, that weekend, I'm actually in Kingdom Bound Festival, I think we were at, and we're playing there. And I'm about ready to go on the platform, and my wife calls my cell phone, and I pick it up, and Rachel's like, you will not believe what just happened. And she's cracking up. It's like 9:45 Eastern Time, 8:45 Central Time, and she calls me, and she says, Papa was just putting Samuel to bed tonight. And they're always talking about, you know, we have this whole thing where we say, you know, when Johnny Cash died, we say, well, Johnny Cash is in heaven. So when we pray with Samuel and Emma, we'll say, wave to Johnny Cash, tell him hello. He's up there in heaven. Hi, Johnny Cash. Hi, Pope. Just anybody that dies, we're kind of getting them ready. Hi, so-and-so that, And so, Peter, he loves to talk to kids about, we're trying to get him not to do this, but he loves to talk to his grandkids about, one day Papa's not going to be here. He'll do it so much that our kids will start crying. You know what I mean? Oh, Papa's not going to be here. I think he loves it. It's good for his ego or something. Anyway. So he's putting Samuel to bed that night, and he's like, now Samuel, I'm not going to be here one day. One day Papa won't be here, but Papa will be with you again, and in heaven. And Samuel says, well, Papa, where's heaven? And Papa said, well, that's where all the good people go. And Samuel's mind, I guess, just started like rolling. And Samuel said, and Papa said, and do you know where all the bad people go? And he says, Papa, do you mean Nevada? So they always have these conversations like this. Well, a couple weeks ago, they were hanging out, and they were Papa and Samuel were spending time together, and Samuel decided to wake up. Papa, I had woken up early because we had to be on an early flight, and I went down and made coffee, and I heard Peter upstairs, and he went into the bathroom, and he's so cute. He's just a little guy. He probably weighs about 139 pounds. And Peter's got his like white hair and his little, he wears those little button-up, with the pants, button-up sleep things, the little shirt, What? Pajamas, yeah. And so he's got his on his, and Papa's got his legs crossed, and I walk up and I see him in the bathroom, so I run downstairs, and he's reading his Bible. He always reads early in the morning. In fact, this has been a long tradition, you know what I mean? I won't go into that, but he'll read his word in the morning and pray, and he'll often just pray over one verse. So I know he likes coffee, so I made him some coffee, and by the time I got the coffee up there, it's about 5:15 in the morning. I'm like, here you go, Pops. And Samuel's sitting right next to him. What was so sweet is that for a long time we've been reading the Bible over Samuel, but we get him all those little play Bibles. Well, within just a few short minutes, he and Samuel are bored with it. You know what I mean? And here I look, and Pete's got the real Bible, and he's just right there. And I walk up there on him, and Samuel's like, crossed legs, just looking at Papa. So he said, Daddy, can you get me a cup of that? But I said, you mean coffee? He said, no, Daddy, I don't like coffee. But he wanted the same exact cup with water. You know what I mean? So he's got his cup then, and then Pete's got his cup of coffee. And by the time I get up the second time, Pete says, look at here, Samuel. He says, there's 2 books that God put in here for you. Samuel said, wow. Peter's like, look at here, I got 2 books too. So there they are, both of them are, we got 2 books. Samuel says, I want you to read my book, Papa. So Papa starts with the story of Samuel hearing God for the first time. So he's reading the whole story, and I'm listening in too. I'm sitting on, just looking in on them, thinking, and completely amazed at how in tune my son is with it. He's listening to the whole story about Samuel. And Papa gets done with the story, and it touched me so much. Gets done with the story about Samuel hearing from God through